Emotions. Let's talk about them. The big word of the day. Scary word. Big scary word of the day. Feelings. Dear God. I'm almost 50, right? I'm 49, and I caught the tail end of the generation of men don't talk about their feelings. So I understand that you may not want to. But you're here. You're curious. Feelings are stupid important. Like beyond important. Feelings are who we are. Science is proving that before you make a conscious decision, you've already made the decision lower in your mammalian brain, if you will. That's crazy. You think, I made the conscious decision. That's it. Boom. That's when I decided. That's it. Nope. It happened quite a few milliseconds before that. So, feelings, whether you have good feelings or bad feelings, dictate the quality of your life and your ability to have good feelings or bad feelings. And you can control some of them to a degree. You can definitely learn how to manage them better, which is hopefully why you clicked into this video today, and I want to help you do. Milton in Paradise Lost, I can't remember the exact quote, but the mind is a weird place or an interesting place. It can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. And that is 100% true. Perspective and perception are so important. The view at which you see something with or from is it. If you change your perspective or your perception, it can be life-changing. It's really crazy. And then you also got to be mindful of feelings and be careful of them because they're straight up liars. So I don't think that there's been enough talk and exploration of feelings from more than just a little bit of a scientific level and a psychological, like a medical level, you know? But on a philosophical level, this is just fascinating to me, and I think it really could be explored. To even think about feelings is something really important. Let's talk about the 3.5-foot bullet. I don't know if you've ever seen one. Phineas Gage did. And I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He helped build the railroads, and he was supervising a crew. He was up in the Northeast. I want to say he was from Vermont, and he was working in Maine or something like that. And he was right over a tamping rod, which is a long iron bar that when there were rocks or stone or something in the way, they would drill down into the rock, and then they would pack it with TNT, and then they would tamp it down with this tamping iron. And then they would, back away and set off the explosion. Ching, kaboom, and blow it sky high. Well, Phineas Gage was supervising a crew, but I guess he was on the tamping iron and was tamping it down, and a crew behind him caught his attention, and he went to turn his head a little bit to look back at him, maybe to say something, I guess. As soon as he opened his mouth to say something, the tamping iron in the rock, as it was being rammed down in, hit the side and sparked, and kaboom. And that tamping iron went under, hit Phineas Gage right in under the left side of his jaw, or I think he was tilted a little. It might have even hit an upper molar, gone in through his cheek, and then, as it filled out, because it was like an inch and a half. It was like an inch and a half in diameter. So where the point hit was there, but then I think as the rest of the pole went through, it took out his jaw. Maybe it entered his jaw. I don't know, but at any rate, it went all the way up through his eye, in through his prefrontal cortex, up through the top of his skull, and out and into the air. And listen, this thing literally landed 13.5 pounds, 3.5 feet long, through an entire human skull, and it landed 80 feet away. Are you kidding me? that I could you imagine seeing that? Could you imagine watching that? Being like 6 feet away? Absolutely ridiculous. So he lived, believe it or not. And I don't know if he got knocked out or regained consciousness. I mean, I would imagine. But from what I understand, he was awake like pretty much right away. And he felt sick to his stomach. He had to throw up. And when he threw up, the pressure to his head made some of his brain go out of the little exit hole where the cavity was and fall onto the ground. Half a teacup's worth is what Wikipedia says, which apparently is about 4 ounces. It's about 2 shots, maybe 3. Depends on your bartender. I can't even... I just, wow. He lived. So how do we tie this back to emotions and feelings? So you get a lot of intense feelings from your amygdala. It's deep in your brain, kind of down a little lower towards your mammalian brain. Gives you your fight or flight reflexes, stress response type feelings and such. So without the prefrontal cortex in place, that was what managed and processed and helped process the emotions and feelings. With that gone, he became damn near a totally different person. He didn't go to college, but he was apparently a pretty smart and shrewd businessman. And he had plans and ideas and designs on life and executed them energetically. He went from that to a cursing, foul-mouthed, crude, vulgar, rash decision-making man who is barely tolerable in his version of modern-day society, whatever it was at his time. That's crazy. Completely different person, just because you have different feelings. Same everything else. Think about that. Someone with Alzheimer's, or I don't know if you've ever known anybody that's lost their mind, or even if you can think of a movie or a TV show where it happens and an actor is really good at it, you'd swear it's 2 different people. That's the power of feelings. So, I think it's really, really important to process your emotions. I would get stuck and have been stuck throughout my life thinking that, in order to process them, they're just there. And I'm supposed to, I guess, feel them, but try not to, and they don't go away. And that's the problem. And they just get bigger. They gain weight, get bigger, and get angrier. As I've started to find Joe Hudson, The Art of Accomplishment, and started to explore and learn more about my feelings, man, did that really, it's turning him into a whole different world for me. Anger, I always thought, when I was angry, I wanted to let it out. I had to do something. I had to punch something or hit something or scream into a pillow. Wasn't even really enough. I really tended to want to hit things. It's kind of a childlike way to handle things. But anger will make you want to lash out. But if you think above and beyond that and you back out, anger gets real fired up, gets real motivated. And that's what I look at anger as now. I just go, wow, I'm motivated. That's really motivational. And it sounds weird at first, but it changes. It just changes things. It changes how you look at it. If you change how you look at it, it changes how you can deal with it. It changes, whether you even have that damn stressful emotion. And I'm not saying you can't not get angry. It's a core emotion. You're going to get angry. And in a way, it's vital to survival. You can learn not to let it out, to lash out at somebody with it. You can't direct anger at somebody. You're going to end up paying for that. If not here, you're going to pay for it on the other side. And I had a near-death experience, and I've seen someone go through a life review from a distance, and I barely remember it, but you are going to go through a life review. And anger is not going to lead to anything good in your life unless you change your perspective or your perception of it, and you use it as motivation. Now, how do you let it out? What do you do? Think about when you have something incredibly important to say, but you keep getting interrupted and cut off, or other people keep chiming in and taking the space, hogging the mic, whatever. They won't pass the aux cord to you, whatever the situation may be. How pissed off do you get? It gets frustrating, man. It gets real annoying, especially when you feel like you really need to get this out to the people that are there for whatever the reason may be. How do you feel? You want to throw a temper tantrum. How do you think your feelings feel? They go through the same thing. You bottle them up, you're going to feel them. Joe Hudson has the golden algorithm. Whatever emotion you don't want in your life, and you try to keep it out, and you try to tamp it down. You like that? That was a nice tie back. Yeah? No? Nah, whatever. You try to keep it in, and it's just going to end up exploding out of you. And its impact is going to be exponentially, what is the word I'm looking for? Oh, God. It's getting old shits for the birds, man. It exponentially compounds. Yeah, that's probably the word right there. But it does. It just gets more powerful, and it's going to hurt a lot more, or be a lot more difficult to deal with, or have a huge or bigger or larger effect on your life than it would if you just dealt with it, if you just watched it, if you just observed it with that view framework, vulnerability, impartiality, empathy, and wonder, and just watch it. Ask yourself questions about it. Explore it. What is it? Why do I have this? Why do I want to feel this way? What story am I telling myself? Because we all know the story that you might be telling yourself is different than what you're telling the world. Everyone has a mask, right? Everyone has a mask, and everyone tries to pretend that they don't. So you don't have to, tell anybody about it. You don't have to tell me about it, but confront that story in your head. Confront your narrative and say, hey, did that person cheat on me? Or was I not doing something to fulfill my end of the agreement, and then it snowballed, and then they cheated on me, and then that ended up taking them out of my life, and then my life has done nothing but improve since they've left. Why would I hang on to the anger and still be pissed off that they cheated on me? Why would I tell that as my story to anybody? It's only going to keep you in that framework, and you're never going to be able to break out of it. So, process your emotions. And this is another thing too. It's really important. Process the happy ones and sit with the happy ones too. Because if you ask somebody to talk about emotions, which emotions are most important, or which ones have the biggest effect, or which ones do you like or dislike the most, or it's almost always going to default to majority negative. And if you ask people to talk about when they're happy or a happy time, they'll talk for like 2 minutes or tell you a 2-minute happy story. Ask them to tell you about a shitty time or something negative, and you get a 20-minute audiobook, right? So process them all. Watch them go somewhere day after day, night after night, until they lose their power. And then if you do and are able to watch them go by like water in a river or clouds in the sky and just observe, interestingly observe, interested with interest. Observe with interest these clouds in that water of the river. And let them go. Let them run their course. Because when they're out of you, my God, you feel amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anger, don't let it out at anybody. That's not how you get rid of it. It's not what it's for. It's motivation. Anxiety is a lot like being prepared or being ready. Why am I anxious? Because you're prepared. Why am I shaking right now? Because you're ready and you're hyped up a little bit. So instead of assigning a negative quality, negative framework, negative connotation to it, throw some positive spin on it. We tell ourselves and make up negative shit all the time. Why not do it on the positive side? Because people are going to think you're crazy? Come on, people think you're fucking crazy anyway. Tell me I'm lying. So, feel your feelings deeply. Observe them, study them with interest. Let them go. Let them run through your body. It's kind of, to come up with a relatable analogy. It's kind of like when you have to pee. You have to pee really bad. And it just, it might start off small, but it just ends up getting worse and worse and worse. And then it usually graduates to a point somewhere in there, past the halfway point, like where you can't think. You start losing your ability and your mental faculties, right? Because you're just distracted. I gotta pee. And then you finally go. You make it. You barely make it, but you make it. And how good do you feel 60 seconds later? It's like a whole new world. It changes everything. And yeah, that's all I got, man. Thanks for being. Oh, I just remembered one other thing. Don't do it with a point of I'm gonna solve this, or I'm gonna figure this depression thing out, or I'm gonna this anger thing, man. I'm gonna turn it into an equation. I'm gonna get rid of it. You can't look at it like that. If you look at it logically, or like it's a math problem, or you're just doing it to get yourself from point A to point B in life, don't. It won't work. And if it does work, it'll work for a half a second, and they'll go right back to the way it was. You have to do it with curiosity. Just curiosity and childlike wonder. And just, I want to learn. I want to explore. I want to be an explorer. And I want to learn more about my life and more about this. I'm not going to go in with any or a whole bunch of bullshit preconceived notions from my existence up to this point. Like, just, clean slate it in your mind and try to approach the framework the right way. It can be life-changing. And as you do this with any feelings that you might have, stay grounded, right? Like get massages, do grounding work, go be with nature, touch grass. If you go through too many emotions too quickly, it can be really, really powerful. And it can kind of screw you up. And when you get screwed up, you tend to just stop and go back to what you were doing. It's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel different. Your brain wants what? What's it want? It doesn't want your safety. It wants what is familiar. And your brain is a prediction machine. And you've been running the same predictable pattern for how long? And then you're going to try to change it. If you are successful at changing it, which you should be, and I shouldn't say if, when you are successful at this and successful at changing this, because it'll start to happen. It might not happen at first, but then boom, it will. And once they fall, they're going to fall quicker. Stay grounded. Don't let it fly you too far off your course. And if you sit with an emotion and you deal with it, I don't think I'd rush to the next emotion. I think I'd wait some time, a week or two, at least a few days, and then go do the next one, and then revisit the ones and make sure that you're still approaching them the right way. All right. Here's to a happier, better feeling life. Good luck. Take care. Till next time. Thanks for coming along. Oh, those 3 things. I told you I'd never ask you to do them, and I won't. Till next time. Bye.